All right, guys, so vegan, keto, carnivore, which one is the best for fat loss? You probably Googled all three. You're probably choosing which one's gonna help you lose the most fat. Well, I'm here to tell you that it doesn't matter at all. At the end of the day, the reason that all three of these diets are effective fat loss tools for most people is because they help create what we call a calorie deficit. A calorie deficit is the #1 mechanism that drives body fat loss. When you create a deficit in calories, your body has to utilize stored energy, usually in the form of fat, to create and go about what it does on a daily basis. So your body fat stores become your energy when you're in a calorie deficit. So why does keto seem to work so well for helping people lose weight and body fat? Well, a ketogenic diet is a moderate protein, high fat, very low carbohydrate diet that focuses and emphasizes on eating protein and vegetables. So you have to eliminate a lot of processed foods, a lot of high carbohydrate foods, which generally come with some calories. So when you remove about 60 to 75% of what you're typically eating from your diet and have to choose more filling foods like vegetables and protein, you'll probably eat less. The diet itself isn't necessarily magical, right? The insulin regulating effects aren't necessarily what causes increased fat loss. The decreased carbohydrate could lead to water loss and weight loss, but not necessarily fat loss. So, keto wins the calorie deficit war by removing a lot of refined carbohydrate and hyper-palatable, easy to consume foods. What about vegan? Well, when you have to remove everything that contains animal product, you're gonna remove a lot of dairy, high fat potentially, which could mean it might have a lot of calories. You're gonna remove some potentially high fat, high calorie meats. You get the picture here, right? Same thing with carnivore. When all you can eat is just meat or animal product, you're going to notice that you're very full very quickly, and you're not eating almost any refined carbohydrate or hyper-palatable, easy to overconsume foods. So while all of the diets have specific niches where they might work well, right? Keto is a fantastic approach for people dealing with epilepsy, and there's promise that it could be valuable for other neurological conditions. Veganism might be very beneficial for people with cardiovascular disease who need to be very cognizant of their saturated fat intake, potentially, right? And carnivore is becoming a very blooming diet that people are using to battle autoimmunity. And I'm not going to say that any of them don't have validity for those particular areas, but what I will tell you is when it comes to fat loss, as long as you're creating and adhering to a caloric deficit over time, you can choose any of those three diets and get about the same results, or you could arguably choose one that's a little bit easier to follow, which might just be prioritizing getting about 80% of your foods from healthy, non-processed, whole food sources that you enjoy, and about 20% of your calories from the foods that you love, that maybe there's the snack foods or the treats you like, but living within that 80-20 range and just being cognizant of how many calories you're eating would be just as effective for most people as a really hardcore, rigorous diet. And I would actually argue it's easier to adhere to. And at the end of the day, that's diet rule #1, something you can stick to. And that's why all these diets fail. They're very difficult. All right, guys, I hope you guys found this valuable. If you did, make sure you comment below if you've tried any of these three and what's worked for you. I'm not bagging on them per se. I'm just talking about the mechanisms that make them effective, and I'd love to hear what's worked for you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and have a great day.